Look stupid in my hat?
Yeah.
How stupid do I look? Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're doing something very exciting. We are putting roof bars on the van, so they will go on the van like this. I just got these off eBay. As always, I'll put the link below. I think they were around £70, £80, but I'll put the number on screen because I can't remember exactly. It looks quite simple. It comes with all the fixtures. It's just screws and a bit of sealant. Comes with everything you need in the kit. The only thing is, so there are 3 screw caps on the top of each side of the van. One of them's come off, so there's quite a lot of rust or corrosion in where the thread is, so we've got to try and solve that first. But once we've done that, this should be a relatively simple job. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Should be a relatively simple job. So this actually ended up being an absolute nightmare to do, guys. They're meant to fit a Peugeot partner, but it is to fit like models over a 10-year gap, so they just didn't quite fit, and we were having to put a lot of pressure on the bars because the bolt wouldn't catch in the thread. You'll also notice in this video I do actually have a helper with me. This is my partner who very nicely agreed to help me with doing this and the vent in the next video. So I was very grateful for that.
Do you want to put your coat hat in? Just tip your head. They come in.
But apart from them being quite difficult to put on, the process is quite simple. So first you take these caps off. You can just use a normal screw to do that. Give it a bit of a clean, bit of a wipe around. Then you put these little foam stickers around. These came with the kit, everything came with the kit, so you don't need anything other than what's included. You then fill the thread with this sealant that comes with it. We managed to burst the tube, which is why it's got pink tape on it. And then you line the roof bars up, put the bolt through, and then you just use the Allen key that comes with it to screw them up. Now, like I say, very simple in theory. In practice, these didn't quite fit, so we were having to put a lot of pressure. My partner's actually in the background putting basically his entire body weight, and you can see there we actually had to get the drill. It was really quite tricky just because they weren't an exact fit, and there's quite a big gap at the back of these roof bars where we're a bit worried water will come in, so we might have to do some extra sealant. You can see there how wobbly it is. But in general, not too difficult to get on, and they look really cool. They just make the van look a bit more adventure-y, and yeah. So I have good news. I officially put the van in for a service today, and it didn't go as badly as it could have gone. But it didn't go as good as it could have gone. So I just thought I'd chat it through, say the outcome, talk about the work that I got done, just because I think this is another part which can be quite intimidating about having a van and just having a vehicle in general. But especially when you want to convert a van, you need to make sure the base vehicle is looked after, and it is a 10-year-old van. It's done over 100,000 miles, so things are going to break. Now, I knew that one of the first things I wanted to do after I bought the van was put it in for a service. It had passed its MOT in April with no advisories, so like I said in my first video, that was really a positive sign, but I still wanted to put it in for a major service just to give me peace of mind before I did anything extravagant or expensive to the van, that there wasn't any kind of core things I needed to do to look after the vehicle itself. So I don't know anything about garages or anything, so I just called up my local Peugeot garage because I thought it's a Peugeot, so I'll call a Peugeot garage. And I spoke to a guy, I explained I want to come in for a major service, and he was like, yeah, brilliant, set me up a date and everything, and he was like, so that will be £500 for the service. To which my jaw hit the floor. I was flabbergasted by that price. I don't know if that is a surprise to anybody else, I did not think it would be that much. I had a Corsa before this, and even when that went in for a major service, it wasn't more expensive than like 180 or something. So I kind of said, like, that feels like a lot of money. To which he replied, yeah, it's because of the size of the van. At the time, I was like, well, this is the smallest van you can buy. But I think I was thinking dimensions. I think he meant engine size, and this is a 1.5. But my Corsa had a similar engine, so again, I was like, that still feels very expensive. And then he went on to explain, he was like, yeah, well, these vans, they only get serviced every other year, so it's always a major service. And that felt really weird to me. A, because I still think £500 is a lot for a major service, and B, I have all the service history of this van and it's been serviced every year, and a major service every year. So yeah, I was like, well, this van's been serviced every year, and he couldn't talk himself out of that. He kind of just said, that's the price. If you want to book, that's the price. And I said, well, I can't afford that, so definitely not booking. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you think that's weird or whether I'm overthinking it. So I ended up going to my local Quick Fit instead. I'd had a service with them when I had my Corsa and had a really good experience, and they quoted me less than £300. So already £200, over £200 savings just from going to Quick Fit as opposed to a Peugeot garage. I'm sure if you went to a local garage, you can get even more of a bargain. I just don't know anything about garages near me, and I find it all a bit intimidating, so I just thought I'd rather pay a little bit more, go to Quick Fit, 'cause I've been there before, I understand it. And so yeah, I was booked in for a major service. They couldn't do it for a couple of weeks because they were all booked up, so it went in today. I dropped it off this morning and I got a phone call, and there was a couple of things on the report which needed either fixing today or imminently, so I just thought I would talk that through. So I'm going to put a screenshot of the report on the screen so you can see it as well as some pictures. So they checked 131 items on the vehicle, which is amazing. I'll also drop a link to the Quick Fit page, which gives you information about the difference between a minor and a major service and all of the things that they check. So 120 items of that 131 came out in the green, like all okay, nothing needs to be done. 6 came up as work advised and 5 came up as work required. So it's like a traffic light system. So I was obviously most concerned about those 5 in the red. Now 3 of those 5 are tyres. So the spare wheel and the front 2 tyres were both approaching the legal limit. The spare tyre was actually at the legal limit. So legally your tyres have to be 1.6 mil. The spare tyre was 1.6 mil. So I presumed the previous owner had used that tyre and just, chucked it on as the spare, so at least they had something. The front 2 were at 2 mil, which, again, let me know in the comments if I'm being naive here. I was so shocked that this van passed its MOT in April, so less than 3 months ago, and had no advisories. So those front 2 tyres, which are less than a mil off being illegal, weren't on the MOT. Now the guy at Quick Fit was telling me apparently in MOTs they'll only flag it up if it's under 2 mil, because all they're interested in is that 1.6 mil, because that's the legal requirement. Whereas like a tyre provider like Quick Fit, he says that they recommend changing your tyres at 3 mil, because that's when they're half worn or something. So I needed 3 new tyres. Now, this has happened to me before, actually, when I went to Quick Fit for my service for my Corsa. Surprise, surprise, I needed 3 new tyres. And obviously, when you need new tyres, you have to get the alignment done. You don't have to, but I remember the guy explaining to me when I was at Quick Fit years ago that if you don't get the alignment done, basically the alignment is, it sorts out the wobbliness of the car so that it's even on the tyres. So if you don't do it after you've had new tyres, there's a chance that the car can be like wobbly, which puts more stress on one of the tyres, and it basically means that you can wear out your tyres unevenly or just sooner than if you've had it done. I don't know if that's just a really good sales pitch, but in my mind, if you don't get it done, your tyres are gonna wear out sooner rather than later. So I had to get 3 tyres, alignment, a bulb had gone, and that was all he told me on the phone. And he said, that's going to be £600. And I said, that's a lot of money. More money than I want to spend. We decided to replace the front 2 tyres, which were £53 each. They're kind of budget tyre. And each tyre you have to also pay £20 for a fitting and something fee. I don't know. So the tyres are actually £73 each. Then the alignment is around £70 as well. The bulb was like 13 quid, so that was nothing. And then he put some super special discount on it, as they always do. And he was like, I can do it for 500 all in. And I was like, fine, do it. Like, I'd rather it be done now. If the tyres need doing, the tyres need doing. At least I can get 2 tyres at the same time, get the alignment done. The back tyres, I've still got 5 and 6 mil, so they've got plenty of life in them, so I won't have to do this again for a while. So I went to pick up the van after they'd done all the work and look through this report. Now, there were 2 other things in the red which he didn't make clear on the phone whether they'd done them, whether they'd sorted them, or whether it was work that needed to be done, how urgent that work was. So I spoke to the technician at QuickFit and he explained a bit more information about both of those. So the first one is on the front brake axle. This is what's written: the front brake axle, the drive shaft joints and gaiters. No idea what that means, but it came with a picture attached, which I will include here. Now, from a very quick Google to understand what all of those words mean, and from talking to the technician, between the front 2 tyres, there's like they're connected by, like, I guess that's the brake axle, and there's a like ball bearing which is covered by like a plastic casing which is filled with grease. Now, on one of those plastic things, there's a hole in it, so the grease is getting out and dust is getting in. Now, I said to the technician, what will happen? Like, what's the fix for that? B, if I don't get it fixed, what will happen? The fix is to get a new rubber one, another new rubber casing. I think it's called the CV, I wrote it down. The CV boot, I believe is what it's called. So the fix is quite easy. You just get a new one of those fitted. It's around £100, so I was like, don't want to do that today. But if you leave it, grease will keep escaping, dust will keep getting in, and then eventually the ball bearing that's inside that boot will just seize and not move. And I believe that means you won't be able to move your steering like left to right. So it is the kind of thing, and if that happens, you then have to replace the ball bearing as well, plus any other damage. So it is the kind of thing that if you don't sort it now, it will get more expensive. So I've booked in to have that done after I get paid next month, because I couldn't afford it this month, but it does feel like something that will cost me more in the long run if I don't get it done. Now, the last thing in the red was battery charging system, and then it says take a photo of printout. So this picture, I'll put it on the screen, was included with the report. Now, this terrified me at first because all I saw, as somebody who doesn't understand anything about vans, is flooded, bad and replace. And I thought, is that insinuating that I need to buy a new battery today? Because that's going to be hundreds of pounds. Now, the technician explained these bars, under cranking power and state of charge, the higher those greyed out bars are, the better the battery's functioning. So he was like, when you look at those two, it's actually doing okay. What was concerning him was that it was rated as a 540 battery, but it was only measuring as a 399. Now, again, I asked him, A, what's the fix? B, what happens if I don't fix it? The fix is buy a new battery and get that fitted, which he estimated would be anywhere between 120 to 250 pounds. But this one feels less severe, and again, if you know anything about cars or vans, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong here. But the technician was saying this isn't going to cause more damage. All that will happen is it will get harder to start the van. So he said I would just leave it for now and see if you're noticing that it's taking longer to start the van. So when you put the key in and turn the key, if it's taking longer for that to happen, or you have to do it a couple of times, you might need a new battery. So that's probably something I'm gonna have to sort in the next year, but I don't have to worry about right now, which is great. Now in the amber, now this is like advisory, so this is stuff that they recommend you get done, but it's not super urgent. The drive shaft was in there again. He explained that's the same thing. They just put it in 2 categories for some reason. The lights and lamps, that was just the bulb that they changed. I think it was at the rear back. I'm not sure, but they just changed that for me. That was that £13. The wheel alignment, again, I had that done because of having the new tyres. The air filter they do as part of the service. The technician was saying, I believe, that filters the soot from getting into the engine. So that's the most important one, so they have to do that as part of the service. The ones that they don't do as part of the service is the pollen filter and the brake fluid. The pollen filter apparently just stops leaves and pollen and stuff getting into the actual cab. And the brake fluid, I don't know what brake fluid does. I was like, how do you know if your brake fluid's out? They couldn't really answer me. I said, is it really bad if you run out of brake fluid or you get low? Again, they couldn't really answer me. It's 50 quid to get your brake fluid topped up or replaced, I don't know. So if anybody knows anything about brake fluid, can you let me know if that's something I should prioritise? Because they couldn't actually tell me how much brake fluid I had or what condition it was in. They've just put it on the amber. Now, a lot of these, they said that they've put on amber just because of either the miles or the age of the car. So I don't know, again, whether they're just saying, oh, because it's a certain amount of years old or because you've done a certain miles, we would get this done, you know? So if I can save 50 quid there, like, please let me know. But also if I'm going to run out of brake fluid and then the car will, like, stop working, please let me know. So other than that, everything else came up green, which is brilliant. So I have 2 new tyres. I don't think I explained what we did. So I only actually bought 2 new tyres because we used one of the 2mm front tyres as the spare. So at least worst case, if I need a spare, I can get to a garage. At worst case, I wasn't going to buy a whole new tyre to just have as the spare tyre for 70 odd quid. So yeah, that is the service all done and dusted, which is brilliant. Like I say, I've just got to go back next month to get that CV boot replaced. But apart from that, the van is now all A-okay'd, which is brilliant because, like I say, I didn't want to invest loads of time on the nice, fun conversion interior stuff if then the base vehicle had really huge structural issues, or like the brakes had gone or the clutch had gone or anything scary like that. So yeah, that is really good news because it means I can now spend a bit more time and effort and investment in doing more of the fun conversion things, which will be coming up in future videos. I also, while I'm here, wanted to talk to you guys about one of my favourite resources that I've been using a lot during the conversion. Obviously, I've been linking to any videos that I've been using or watching on YouTube, and I'm linking all of the products that I've used and all the prices, you know that. But something that I would really recommend getting if you're thinking about doing a van conversion is this book. Now, this is the Van Conversion Bible. I just got it off Amazon. I can't remember how much it was, but I'll put the price on the screen. And this goes through every single step of the van conversion in incredible detail. Like, I mean incredible detail. And I've read this cover to cover several times before I'd even bought the van. I bought this back in February before I'd even bought the van, and I just read it every night, cover to cover, dreaming of doing my own van, and now I am, which is super fun. I found this because Van on a Mission, the YouTube channel, which I recommended one of their videos in my video about buying the van, one of them works for a company called Noma, which I will link below, and the people who own Noma wrote this book. So it's quite long-winded, but I think I was watching one of those vans. They talked about the company, I went and looked at the company, and then I found this book. So a bit long-winded, but it's written by two people who have made their own vans, so they've got loads of knowledge themselves, and like I say, they've set up this company called Noma, which is a company that helps with the electrical systems in van conversions. So next year when I do my electrical system, I do actually want to get one of the Noma setups, so they can design a completely bespoke electrical system for you, or you can buy one of their kits. The great thing about them is that if you go through Noma and get their stuff, you have constant support from their electricians. Are they called electricians? Engineers? The people who know the things about electrics. Yeah, they're electricians. You have constant support from them. So it comes with everything you need, all the fitting instructions, and then if anything goes wrong, you can then contact their support team and they can guide you through it. So because I'm quite intimidated by the electrical system, I do want to go with them. The system that I'm looking at is around £1,000, which is again why I need to save up to do it. It would be cheaper to source all those components yourself. And if you know anything about electrics, that's probably the way to go. But I'm so scared of doing it wrong and making anything unsafe, so I'd rather just pay a little bit of extra money to have it done properly and have to wait and save up to that, you know? So yeah, I would really recommend this book. It's absolutely fantastic. Even if you're in the early stage, even if you haven't bought a van, get this book first. I'm so glad I got this book, and actually probably reading a lot of the early things in it probably helped with making decisions about which van I was going to buy, what order I was going to do steps in. So yeah, I would really recommend buying this. This combined with YouTube videos for me has given me the confidence to tackle some quite intimidating parts and think I can do it. The only thing I think that I feel less sure about is the electrical system, but everything else to make it into a camper van I think I can do with this book and YouTube videos. We will see if that's true or whether that is just a bit bold, but yeah, definitely check this book out. I'll link it below, guys. It's a really great resource. And yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was a bit of a combination with looking at some elements of the conversion and also a bit of chatty bit at the end. Let me know if you enjoyed this setup. Let me know if you want more talky videos or whether you just prefer watching the conversion journey. And I will see you in the next one.